You know, when Roger Federer announced he was retiring, it felt like the entire sports world just stopped. And maybe no words captured that feeling better than these from his greatest rival, Rafael Nadal. It wasn't just that an era was ending. It was that something truly special was going to be missed.
But beyond all that emotion, what was it about him? What made this one athlete command so much respect from everyone? Well, that's what we're going to try and figure out today. In this explainer, we're deconstructing the Federer effect.
It really makes you wonder, right? How can one athlete's career ending feel like such a massive global moment? We're going to dive into all of it, the sheer dominance, the incredible artistry, and of course, the rivalries that didn't just define his career, but really a whole generation of tennis.
So to really get a sense of his impact, you've got to hear it from the people who are right there, the ones who played against him, the ones who are inspired by him.
And I mean, who better to hear from than another titan of the sport, Serena Williams? She put it so well. His influence, it wasn't just about the men's tour. It was bigger than that. It was like an inspiration for greatness, period. It crossed over and touched, every single part of the game.
All right, so let's get into it. Because behind all the emotional goodbyes, there are some cold, hard numbers. And these numbers, they're so wild they barely seem real. This was a time when Federer wasn't just the best player. He felt inevitable.
Let's just start with one number, 237. What is that? That's how many weeks in a row he was the #1 player in the world, consecutively. Think about that. From early 2004 all the way to the summer of 2008, that's over 4.5 years where nobody else even got a sniff of that top spot. It's a run it's just never been matched. And you can see this dominance perfectly in his Grand Slam record. Get this, between 2005 and 2010, Roger Federer made it to the final of every single major tournament except for one. That's 18 out of 19 consecutive Grand Slam finals. In a sport where it's all on you, where there's no team to back you up, that kind of consistency is it's mind-blowing. And that brings up a really crucial point. His dominance wasn't just about how he hit the ball. It was mental. It was psychological. This Reddit user puts it perfectly, kind of summing up the feeling back then. He said players would look at a tournament draw, see when they might have to play Federer, and just think, okay, that's it. That's as far as I'm going to get. They were mentally beaten before they even walked on the court.
But okay, what he did, the winning, you can't separate that from how he did it. See, Federer didn't just beat people. He won with this style, this grace, that completely changed how we saw the game.
And right at the heart of that art, his forehand. The one and only John McEnroe didn't pull any punches. He flat out called it the greatest shot in the history of the sport.
So what made it so lethal? It's insane variety. 1 second, he's hitting this heavy, looping topspin that pushes you 10 feet behind the baseline. The next, he's whipping it cross-court at an angle that seems physically impossible. Or he could just flatten it out for a blistering winner down the line. You never knew what was coming, which made it totally unreadable. It was the bedrock of his whole game.
The author David Foster Wallace described it perfectly. He didn't see it as just a powerful swing. He called it a great liquid whip. And that's just it, isn't it? It captures that blend of raw, violent power and what looked like effortless, beautiful grace. But here's the thing, it wasn't just that one shot. Jimmy Connors nailed it when he talked about Federer. He said, we're in an era of specialists. You've got your clay court guys, your grass court guys, your hard court guys, and then you have Roger Federer. He was the exception to the rule, a master of every surface who could win anywhere, anytime.
Of course, no reign lasts forever unchallenged. And Federer's story, his legacy, is impossible to tell without talking about the two younger guys who rose up to meet him. Their rivalries created what many people call the greatest era men's tennis has ever seen.
And the age difference here is so important. You have to remember, Federer is 5 years older than Nadal and 6 years older than Djokovic. So he hit his peak first, established this incredible dominance, and then had to fight off two other guys, two of the greatest ever, who were just hitting their prime while he was technically past his.
And the result of that three-way war? Well, it was just incredible. For so long, Federer's 20 Grand Slams felt like Mount Everest. Nobody thought it could be climbed. But then Nadal and Djokovic, pushing each other to insane new levels, did it. They actually surpassed him, completely rewriting the record books.
But if you look at the head-to-head records, the story gets a little more complicated. Against Nadal, it was all about the surface. On grass or fast indoor courts, Roger held his own. But on clay, Nadal was practically unbeatable, and that's what skews the overall record. Now, against Djokovic, it was razor-thin, a true battle of equals, where Djokovic just managed to get a slight edge, especially later in Federer's career.
So when you put it all together, the records, the rivalries, the pure art of his game, it all leads to one massive question, the big one that fans and experts are still debating today.
So, is he the GOAT? The greatest of all time? Let's actually break down the arguments.
Okay, so you can really look at this in two ways. There's the argument from pure numbers. And if you go by that, well, he's third in Grand Slams and has losing records against his biggest rivals. Case closed, right? But then there's the argument from impact, and that's a totally different story. That argument points to his peak dominance, that record 237 weeks at number one. It points to his style, the elegance that brought millions of new fans to tennis, and it points to his status as a global icon, all while fighting off younger GOATs deep into his career.
So in the end, the whole debate about Roger Federer really boils down to this one question. Is greatness just a number you can count? Is it just about who has the most titles? Or is it an experience, something you had to witness? For a while there, he made the impossible look routine, and he changed tennis forever. And whether that makes him the greatest, well, that's for you to decide.